All right, welcome to my live YouTube audience. If you are watching on YouTube, we're also over here on Zoom. And if you look in the chat, you'll find the Zoom link. I wish you would join me and come talk about this class with us. Get into the subject. I'm sure that you have some wisdom to share with those of us over here on Zoom. We'd love to meet you, greet you, and talk to you. So join us over here on Zoom. We are live on August 9th at 7 o'clock. All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Blake Anderson. Welcome back to Increase. Glad to have you here with me, whether you're watching this live on Zoom or YouTube, or you're watching and recording this. God bless you. I pray that the Lord would bless you, prosper you, show you the way to step into your purpose and your destiny. And I pray that He uses this class to make things simple and to show you how to increase in the plans that He has for you. So tonight, if you've seen the title of this video or reading the board behind me, we are going to dive into a principle of success that you must understand. We've touched on it throughout our journey of increase, but you must truly understand this to have success, especially success at greater levels and of scale. And that is the power of simple. You will not achieve great things making things complicated. You will have to learn to make things simple if you want to replicate it and you want to execute on it. And we're going to drive a little bit deeper into that and hopefully empower you with the power of simple. So I want to start by saying, success has a formula, and that formula is simple. We feel like success feels so elusive. Oftentimes we're pursuing things we just seem to be just out of our grasp. We can't seem to get it. And when we don't know the way, it feels complicated. It feels uncertain. I like to say oftentimes success feels like the Da Vinci Code. If you read that book or saw that movie, where they were always trying to decode a cipher of all these hidden symbols and these secret messages to try to discover or find what they were looking for. And it doesn't success sometimes feel that way, like you're pursuing something you don't know how to achieve. Maybe you're trying to get somewhere you've never been. But the formula to success is not complicated. It is simple. So let's just start right there. Understand that the formula to success is simple. And we can define it in a few ways, but a friend of mine, Josh Oliver, says that the formula to success is effort plus intent. Another simple way to put it would be that you decide and then you do. And I like to say that really what you want to do is know what you want and then do whatever it takes to get there. But let's break that down a little bit. I love Zig Ziglar said often that there is no elevator to success. You must take the stairs. You see, early on in my adult life, I was looking for the elevator, and I wasn't listening to the wisdom of those that have gone before me and had achieved some things that I was after. I was certain that I could find a trap door, a secret code. I even remember there was a struggling time in one of my businesses, and I searched the Bible to find scriptures that proved that God had plans for me and that He would give me my requests. And I wrote those out and I gave them to a critical person in my organization because we really needed God's favor. We needed help. And I just said, pray these. And I believed that if I could pray those scriptures, that the door would open for me. And I searched the Bible thinking that I could find the Da Vinci Code in there. You see, I didn't want to believe that there was no elevator to success, because all at that time I was being offered was the long, tall stairwell to the top. And it was going to take more work than I wanted to give it. And I thought, well, I'm special. There's got to be a better way. I've never had to work this hard in my life. And I couldn't have been further from the truth. And it wasn't until things got really dark, and I mean lights turned off dark, not knowing how we were going to eat dark, water turned off, having to take a bucket across the street to the neighbor's house to fill up a bucket of water so we could cook dinner and bathe our 2 young children. Humble, humiliating. I finally was able to receive the wisdom that had been waiting there all along for me, which is that this formula to success is simple. You got to know what you want, and you've got to be willing to do whatever it takes to get there. You've got to couple your effort, your hard work with your intent, your desire, and the reason why you want to do that. Here's the thing. It's not a microwave formula. It's a slow cooked meal. But the moment that you accept the simple formula of success is the moment that things start moving in your life. If you're still looking for the elevator, then you're probably not really moving forward. And the moment that you just decide to start heading towards it, you'll start to see momentum in what you're doing because it's a simple formula. And I want to tell you this before we go any further. The real joy is the journey. It's not even really obtaining. Though achieving a goal is satisfying and fulfilling, I'll tell you what, the greatest part of it is the journey to get there. The stories that I have to tell really have nothing to do with the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. The stories are all about the pursuit and all the things that we did to get there to finally achieve the goal. And that's success. The juice is in the journey, and it's simple. Decide what you want and do whatever it takes to get there. So that's the formula of success made simple. But let's talk about this concept of simple, because for you to really pursue anything, you're going to have to embrace simple as a principle and learn to apply it on all those steps along the way. Because simple empowers you. Simple empowers you in 5 ways we're going to talk about tonight. And when you understand how it empowers you, you realize it's a tool that you must apply everywhere you go, because simple and applying the principle of simple will start to create results. And so let's dive in why. So the first thing that simple empowers, okay? Simple empowers success is clarity. Tony Robbins says success loves clarity. Success loves clarity. In the Bible, Habakkuk 2 verse 2 says, write the vision, make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth this. What's it saying? It says, make it clear, make it plain. Take the vision that you have and make it simple. And why? Why? Because it says, so that you can run once you read it. Really, what's that Bible saying? It's the success formula. Make it clear, know what you want, write the vision, make it really clear, and run, execute with your effort. So simple empowers clarity. And clarity sometimes is the most important thing. How confidently can you move forward when you're uncertain about where you're going, when you're uncertain about what to do next? But the point that you embrace the effort that it will take, and you embrace the journey that you have to go on, and you get still to find the clarity in your life, you simplify and make things simple, you'll see a clarity that allows you to move forward. You see, oftentimes we're trying to go somewhere we've never been, and so we assume because we've never been there before, it must be super complicated. But I'm telling you, what you don't want to do is look for a complicated solution. You want to look for a simple solution. And when you find it, then you'll find steps forward. Oftentimes, if it feels complicated, then you need to take more time until you understand it more. We'll get into an Einstein quote a little bit later about that. The second thing that simple empowers is execution. It's execution. Another Tony Robbins quote, complexity is the enemy of execution. Now, remember, the Bible says that we need to be able to run with this vision. So we need it to be clear. But it's saying we're going to have to put in the effort. We're going to have to execute. We're going to have to do whatever it takes. You see, one of the most important things for you achieving success is your ability and willingness to execute, to do the work. And in order to do the work, it's going to have to be simple, because Tony Robbins says, aptly so, complexity is the enemy of execution. What's he saying? When things are complicated and complex, you're going to find it hard to really execute or do the work. Why? Because there will be mystery, there will be uncertainty, and you won't be clear. I love this other quote by Alex Hormozi: simple scales, fancy fails. Simple scales, fancy fails. We can use this to talk about execution. We'll talk about multiplication later, but simple scales, what's scale mean? Well, scale in business means you can multiply it. It means you can expand it. It means you can replicate it easy. It means you can do it over and over and over again. Simple scales, fancy fails. So if you want to scale something, if you want to be able to execute, you're going to have to make it simple. And remember that clear phrase, simple scales, fancy fails. When you've crafted something very fancy and complex, that's when it starts to stumble. Where if everything has to be just right, then it can't succeed. We've got to be looking for things that are easy to execute over and over and over again without a lot of thought. Jack Welch, who was the CEO of GE and turned it into an international global company of success, says, don't make the process harder than it is. If anyone knows about scaling a business through execution, it is Jack Welch. And he's saying, don't make the process harder than it is. You need to keep it simple so that you can execute. And then I'm a builder by trade. And what I love to tell my folks is understand that a clean job site is a productive job site. If you want to be productive, when we're building these homes and buildings that we build, keep it clean. Why? Because it's the cleanliness and the clarity that allows us to be productive there. There's a study by the University of Arizona, and it found that employees who work in a clean and organized environment are up to 15% more productive than those who work in a cluttered and messy environment. Now, I have a feeling it's actually probably much greater than 15%. But still, that's enough to say that keeping things simple in your environment, in your work environment, and things that you do allow you to be more productive, allow you to execute. And if you've embraced this principle that it's going to take a lot of hard work, you're going to have to do the work over time, then we need to make that work as easy as possible so that you can continue to progress. All right, the third thing that simple empowers success. It empowers multiplication. It empowers multiplication. I think the best way to understand that simple empowers multiplication is the reverse. Have you ever played the telephone game? You know, you take a group of people, maybe there's 5, 10, 15 of you, and you whisper a message in the first person's ear, and then they in turn whisper a message in the next person's ear, and the next person's ear, and the next person's ear, and it travels back around, and you see when it comes back to the person who started it, whether the message stays the same or not, right? Well, if you've ever done that, you know, if you say a long sentence, by the time it gets back to you, you might have the wildest answer that you've ever heard. But if you want a greater level of accuracy for that message to get all the way back around, what have you got to do? You're going to have to keep it simple. For it to multiply and replicate, it has to be simple. Grant Cardone says, you have to give up to go up. What's he saying? As if you want to increase your business, increase your life, increase your capacity, you're always going to have to be simplifying to be able to go further and further and further. You're going to have to give up things in order to go up. So every time you want to add something to your business or your process, a level of complexity, you're going to have to simplify something underneath it. Why? Grant Cardone understands that simple scales and fancy fails. Albert Einstein says that everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Albert Einstein, arguably one of the most brilliant thinkers in the modern era, said everything should be made as simple as possible, not simpler. He's saying don't dumb it down, but take the complexities out of it. The fourth thing that this concept, this principle of simple empowers is communication. We talked about the telephone game and how if you keep it simple, it will empower communication. But know that if you're going to do anything great, if you're going to lead, if you're going to get anywhere, you're going to have to be able to communicate either with a team, through people you're leading, or a message that you have. And a message that's going to communicate well and lead people must be simple. John C. Maxwell the preeminent thought leader when it comes to communication and leadership, says that educators take simple things and make them complicated, but communicators take complicated things and make them simple. Communicators take complicated things and make them simple, and communicators are those who are able to lead, to give a message that people can follow. So if you're going to communicate a vision, you're going to communicate a mission statement, you're going to lead people, you're going to have influence to try to get folks to join your team or do what you want them to do, you're going to have to communicate, and your communication will have to be simple. Einstein said again, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. If you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it to yourself. So to be an effective communicator, we're always looking to take any subject and remove the complexities, to make it simple. And I love this quote. It's misquoted, but it's attributed to Mark Twain. It's memorable. If I had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter. Isn't that so true? It seems to take less time to over communicate, but we understand that good communication is simple and it's clear. And in order to do that, it takes time to refine it. It takes time to edit it. It takes time to gather your thoughts. So to be an effective communicator, you're going to have to take complicated things and make them simple. Now, hopefully by now you understand that simple doesn't mean no effort. Simple doesn't mean easy. It means clear. It means easy to understand. It means that you can execute over and over and over again. It means that you can replicate it. It means that you can multiply it. But it's probably not easy. Simple is actually probably harder. But simple can do things that complicated never can. So it might take a little bit of extra work in the beginning. But without doing the work of simplifying, it will never become anything great. Because simple scales and fancy fails. Fancy, complicated things can't scale, can't replicate. You see this a lot in small businesses getting off the ground, and when they can't figure out how to simplify and scale, they say that they're niche. They say that they're boutique. And unfortunately, the boutique business owner is really the person who hasn't figured out how to simplify their product, how to simplify their offering in a way that can scale, in a way that can replicate easy, in a way that can serve many people. Simple scales, fancy fails. And the final thing I want to say about simplicity, and we know this instinctually, is that simple empowers peace. Simple empowers peace. Leonardo da Vinci said that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Have you ever noticed that the nicer the restaurant, the nicer the hotel, the nicer the home, the nicer the car that you go into, the more luxurious of the environment, the more simple that it is. It actually takes more effort, more time, more money to create something simple, but simple brings peace. Simple brings clarity. Simple makes room for possibilities, for opportunities. And simple gives your creative mind space to be more creative, to think of new possibilities, to create new things. Simple scales, fancy fails. So I want you to think, as our last closing minutes and thoughts of tonight's simple and short class, how you can apply this everywhere you go. You know, you can start by applying it to your surroundings. You know, we've talked in the Keys to Prosper about bringing order to your surroundings, bringing order to your home, bringing order to your workspace, bringing order and simplifying your vehicle so that you can have peace where you go. Don't you notice when you enter into a simple place where things are clean and neat and tidy and everything has a space and it's not cluttered and there's not things everywhere, that you just feel almost a sigh of relief, that things feel possible, things feel peaceful? It's because it's simple. If you notice that some of the businesses that are the most successful have simple processes that can be replicated over and over and over again in many locations from different people. Can you bring this concept of simple to your work? where you look at all you do and you think, how can I remove the complexity here? How could I find maybe one goal that if I achieve this, I accomplish all the rest? How can I find one thing to set my sight on, that knowing that if I were to get this, then all these other things I want will happen along the way? I love that quote that a man that chases two rabbits catches neither, right? Simple. Keep it simple. Increase is a product of simplicity, because increase is a product of execution. It's a product of clarity, and it's a product of order. So take some time to simplify your environment. Take some time to simplify your thinking. Take some time to simplify your efforts in your work and see what becomes possible. See what time you find that you didn't think that you had. See what kind of results you can get when you're able to become a master at the things you do, because you can do them over and over and over again very quickly. And watch how you empower those around you to do more, because you've made their way simple, because you've made your communication to them an easy and simple process to follow. And watch the results of increase come to you. Join me next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m.